but our surprise co-host Aisha. Welcome, Aisha.
Hi, what's going on, guys?
So you're Aisha, not Aisha, which is what I've been emailing you for the last 2 week. So fun, fun little topic. I emailed Aisha links and stuff to the podcast, and I was like, why the hell is this chick not showing up yet? And then I learned that she actually was in the right because I sent it to the wrong email. I've been sending things to the wrong email, and it's not the first time I've done this, so I am stupid.
No, it's okay. It happens. I will say, I just was gonna blame it on your autocorrect. I'm like, maybe the autocorrect just added the E, but then you're like, oh, I spelled it wrong too, and I'm like, I guess it's not that then.
No,
It's fine.
it's
Oh,
not. I'm just stupid. The other thing is, I have watched this movie twice now. The first time with you when you invited me out to the screening, and we got to go and we got to see it in IMAX on Tuesday, which was really cool. We got there and there were like nobody there. We're like, oh, this movie's gonna be ass because there's like no one here. There was no like popcorn and sodas. There was no like
merch, nothing.
merge. There was nothing to take like pictures with. There were no people there like organizing the event. Nothing. It was so bare bones, and I was like, they don't give a shit about this project at all.
You forgot about the paper tickets that were printed from Staples and were misspelled.
Yeah, usually they give you tickets, and this one they gave us like a paper ticket that somebody printed, and they spelled Lincoln Center wrong. They didn't even bother to spell Lincoln right.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty trash, but we got to see it before everyone else, which was cool. So I can't complain, right?
hmm
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Jazz. Glad you can make
Hi,
it.
Jazz.
I made it.
I like the little host tag. I guess I'm no longer the surprise co-host. I'm just kidding.
uh, you could have done that. You could have just put that on there, and no one will gonna. You can put whatever you want in your tag. No one's
Oh, I
stopping
didn't
you.
know that. Oh,
You
that's
could
so
put
funny.
CEO of Salaam Nerds, and nobody could stop you. Yeah.
Good to know.
Jazz,
Good
make
to
sure
know.
the right mic is plugged in. I'm hearing a little bit of a background noise. Mic on your keyboard. Yes, we got some people in the comments. Brown Boy Wonder is like, nothing's funnier than your JC mom telling you not to go to space. We are gonna get into that because that was fun. Look, I came in with low expectations, but I really really enjoyed it. What about you, Aisha?
Oh, I loved it. I especially like the fact that I think I honestly was like at one point, I'm like, this is kind of funny how they didn't have subtitles for everything. And I was like, yes, yes. Like the first
Yeah.
time that like I'm benefiting from being like, like bilingual, then I'll have to read the subtitles. I thought it was really funny. I definitely got really into it. I don't know if you noticed, but I like cried sometimes. I know at one point I like apparently made like a shock noise. So the girl next to me was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh no, I just didn't expect that." So I was very, very, very into it. I really liked it. I kind of went in with like an expectation that it wouldn't be like a MCU type of style movie because how the series of Miss Marvel wasn't traditional MCU style itself. So I think because of that, I enjoyed it more than like the average person would. Also, like, I mean, I'm all about like seeing more women on the screen. So I was like, hell yes, yes. And like the little comments that they made, like, I could do spoilers, right? Like, I don't know
No,
if
no, not spoiler. We're not gonna do
no
spoilers yet.
spoilers. Okay.
Let's just
Just got a few more
spend the
minutes.
Let's just spend the
Okay.
first 10 minutes talking about how we feel about the show overall, and then we'll get into spoilers. Because
Okay.
I do want to give
So,
people a chance to, some people just want to know how the movie is, and some people want to actually to break it down. So yeah, for me, I love this movie. I thought it was good. I had low expectations for this movie because of how it was being treated. Um, there are some flaws in this movie. It's not a perfect movie, but I can still get past them. I thought that the movie is super entertaining, and it's not like Endgame level or The Winter Soldier, but it's up there with like I would say like other fun
Guardians.
movies. Like It's got the Guardians kind of like
Yeah, the Guardians vibe.
attitude, vibe. I loved it. and there's some things that I think they could have done better. I think they could have spent more time with the villain. I really thought they had a great villain, and they did not utilize the villain properly. And I also think that this movie gives a feeling that there was a lot left on the cutting room floor in terms of editing. And some of that might be because one of the actors had a inappropriate text message with a younger person, and it seems very obvious that they were trying to reduce his scenes as much as possible. And they did do that, and I think the editing came out a little wonky because of that. And then other than that, it's the short runtime. In some places the short runtime was great. It made the movie fast paced, a lot of action, everything happened really quickly. But then I feel like at the very end, I feel like the short runtime hurt it because they didn't. I feel like the last fight was a little rushed, and they could have done a little bit more. Spend a little more time with the villain. Give the villain their Killmonger scene, right, where you can really be like, you know what, man, this villain's got a point. So those are my complaints overall. I really really loved it. I had a great time. So many references that I just loved, and it's a very rewatchable movie. And it's probably one of the best movies that MCU has made that you could bring kids to, because there's no profanity, there's no like makeouts, there's no like crazy violence. It's a very good kid-friendly, family-friendly movie. So I really, really recommend it to people who are bringing their kids and stuff like that. I think they'll really enjoy it. Jazz, what are your overall thoughts, minus any spoilers?
Minus spoilers. I thought the movie was a fun fall movie. It's something you can definitely watch multiple times. There are a lot of fun little Easter eggs for Muslims and Pakistanis. Just seeing like the Allah art on top of the fireplace, or just minor little details like that. I'm like, okay, someone here knew what they were doing. It was just really wonderful to see. I will agree with you that the runtime did feel kind of short. Um, I didn't have the Killmonger soliloquy moment that you're talking about. But what I did find really intriguing was the way they were fighting. We'll get into that in a bit in the spoiler section. But the fights in this movie, just the concept of how they were doing it was really, really cool. Like, I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever seen that in any other movie done so effectively. So,
No.
yeah, like, it was just fun the entire way through. And then I'm also glad they fleshed out Brie Larson a bit as Captain
Yeah.
Marvel. Like, she wasn't boring. She wasn't like, I know all the criticisms they had, and I wasn't sure if that was because guys are just being misogynistic or if she's actually a bad actress. But in this movie, she just seemed a lot more fun, and it was really good. Um, and then of course Iman being Iman, she's so cute.
No, there's a lot of people saying that she carried this movie, and I would not disagree. I think she definitely willed this movie together. Like this movie
Hmm.
would not be as good as it was without her.
Agreed.
Yeah, no. All right. Listen, some people are dropping some spoilers in the comments, so I think it's time for us to go into the spoilers. You guys ready for the spoilers?
Yeah,
Because we're
he
gonna go
picked up
into
one of
it.
my favorite scenes. Like,
Listen. I, we're gonna get into that scene because I love that scene, but there's so much to talk about. So this is what happened. I went to the movie, and then I went to it again tonight, and I took notes. First time I was just going to enjoy myself, and I took notes, but I was writing in the dark, so I did not know that my pen wasn't working, and there is nothing written. I
No.
have pages and pages of nothing written. And so what I did was I knew this trick where like, if nothing is written, you can still like shade it with your pencil so that like the markings will show up. So like I spent the whole time kind of shading in like what I wrote
I'm
because
dead.
everything is empty. So I
I
have
still
no
don't
notes.
see anything.
There's nothing there. There's nothing. I can't. Like I wasn't pressing on the pen hard enough.
Mm.
That's funny.
Do you at least remember what you were thinking?
I did. You know what I did? I put on that helmet that Brie Larson put on and try to go back into my memories and try to figure out what it was. And I did. I did some soul searching, and I put some notes down from memory. Uh, but it was funny when I looked at the thing and I was like, I was so mad that nothing I wrote was like written down. Everything was blank. God damn. Never pick up a random pen from your house and take it. You got to double check it first.
Oh my God. I hope you guys can't hear my cat because I love how my cat is screaming on the top of her lungs right now. And we're on like this
I kind
podcast.
of do hear it. I was like,
You
what
do.
was that?
Wait a second. Is that a flirkin or is that a cat? You should bring your cat.
Right?
Just bring your cat into the thing and start going to everybody and pointing at it. When
Oh
when
no.
Kamala picks up the cat and starts pointing at people and goes, "I'm sorry."
And then these people like that music in the background is so funny when they're like, "Duh," and then she like uses her powers to like kind of like stop them. Oh my God, I'm dead. I also thought that was like a funny like Easter egg because like of cats and like people being Muslim and like cats, being like a big thing in Islam. I was like, okay,
Well,
okay.
listen. Yes, you're right. Cats are a big thing in Islam. In fact, we call them meowslums. But Goose is 100% Muslim because if you look, when he made a nest or she made a nest, she brought
Mhm.
the Allah and the Eitel Kursi or whatever into her nest. So Goose is Muslim. That's
Confirmed.
my head canon. It's canon. Goose is Muslim,
Confirmed.
right? Who's going? She brought the living room in there, which I thought was funny. Oh man, Ugh. And I didn't even know Goose was a girl. I thought Goose was a boy.
I thought the same thing because I'm
I
pretty
know.
sure like earlier, the way that they like spoke of Goose as well was with I'm not trying. I was gonna say the pronouns were also he,
Yeah,
him, weren't they? But then I'm like, I don't know if like I can say that.
he's an alien, so we don't even know, right? We don't know what kind of pronouns aliens have.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna
All right,
say like it's a flirkin.
right. It's a flirt game.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. So the episode starts off with the dying star,
Episode.
or not the episode. Well, yeah, the Marvels, which is a sequel to Captain Marvel, starts off with a dying star, which we don't really realize a dying star until later. And then we see, damn, what's his character name? Ben Durban, Dur, Dur,
Durban.
Durban,
Durban,
Bender.
yeah.
Bender, I don't even know her. I just said that all
Darben. It
wrong.
was like Darben.
Darben, that's right, Darben. She
I stuck
finds
for a lot neebs. We're PG-13 today.
Be- Darben finds one of the bangles, right? And you're like, oh snap, very cool. So as she finds these bangles, she makes a hole in the sky, some kind of teleportation hole, right? And she's upset that she didn't have the other bangle, and she's like, where could this other bangle be? Turns out, Jersey City. So we see Kamala Khan. She's on her computer. She's doing these animations like she does on her own show in Miss Marvel. So we can see a little bit of that. So I love the way some of the things got you know brought over from the Marvels. I mean, from Miss Marvel to the Marvels, because these two were shot almost simultaneously. Like they were shot back to back, and the Miss Marvel was delayed, so it didn't come out till much later because it was supposed to come out before Hawkeye, and then they made it come after Hawkeye. So Miss Marvel was delayed quite a bit. So while they were filming this, the show had not even aired yet, and then the show went back and did reshoots. So it's kind of like either they went back and did reshoots after the movie to kind of tie it in and make these references to Miss Marvel, or they were just really really good about integrating it into the movie without knowing anything. So I thought that was really really cool. What are your thoughts, Jazz?
I didn't really think about that. Huh. That's a good point.
I feel like a lot of it was reshoots. I think the whole beginning was a reshoot because I've heard rumors that at the first test screening, people said that Kamala was amazing and they loved her, and they were like, "Oh shit, we have to go back and put more scenes with her in." So it wouldn't surprise me if they went back and added more Kamala scenes because the way she just carried this movie.
Mm,
I think she's
that
very
would make sense.
animated, so she resonates with the audience as well because like her personality is so like raw that when you
Yeah.
see her on screen, she's just like fun to like interact with. And then because the way that she speaks in real life is the same way, it doesn't really look like she's acting. It just looks like she's being herself. Like her
Yeah.
facial expressions, some of the times were so funny that I was just
There's
dying because like
I
she was
They're
so
100%
hilarious.
real.
it's
100% they're
it's
real.
so amazing. Like there would be scenes that have nothing to do with her, and then you just like look at her face, and you're just like, how is she not even in this scene? But she's carrying the scene with these facial expressions, right? And but the thing is, like, I disagree. I mean, look, I totally agree with the fact that she has no acting experience. This is her first, role. Basically, Miss Marvel and the Marvels, and she shoots them back to back. She has no acting experience, right? So when people say, "Oh, she's just acting like herself," I totally get that. It does feel that way. I think some of the best actors portray that. But here's the thing: there are scenes where she's sad, and she does such a good job at portraying like someone who is truly sad. And there are scenes where she's scared, and she does such a great job at portraying someone who's really scared. So there are things that she is doing that I would consider acting. um like, I can't pretend to be that sad and make the audience believe it. I can't pretend to be that scared and
Mhm.
scream and have the audience believe it. She can, which I think is really, really great.
Oh, no, no,
um
100%. What I meant to say was like I feel like her acting is so natural, and since it's so similar to her like actual personality, it doesn't look like she's acting, so she's a
yeah.
relatable character. Like it feels like you're actually like with someone who's so yeah, like how one of the comments is it feels really real because of the way that she portrays herself and carries herself in real life as opposed to on the screen. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like she's playing someone else. It's like she's playing herself. So it's like
Yeah.
she's very like authentic. And I think that's what makes her like very different and kind of like brings her out. And the fact that she's very like comical, like I feel like she's just very funny and like lighthearted. So like in general, like even like I remember at one of the scenes, she was like before she like went for her first punch, she's like Bismillah, and I was like I'm dead
Yeah.
because it's such like a very like I don't know, just like a natural thing to do, right? So it just comes off like very very like authentic, like oh like was that supposed to be in the script or was she like nervous and she said that? It kind of leaves it like up to the audiences to like assume whether or not like these were actually parts of the lines or did she like add them in, because you know how they say often like actors will add in their own lines sometimes and then they get like naturally and then they stick because they looked so good on screen. So like some of the like aspects that are in the movie, it's kind of like it makes you think like okay, the way that she is like it's so relatable to like what she's in real life. So did she actually have this in the script or did she like say this herself and they just went with it?
Yeah. I don't know. I hopefully we can find out because now that the strike is over, she can do some press and we can find out. I wouldn't be surprised that like maybe there were scenes in Miss Marvel that went so well that people really, really enjoyed, and they went back into reshoots. I wouldn't be surprised if there are things that we've mentioned on on our podcast or on my TikTok that they were like, "Ooh, this worked really well. Maybe let's go back and do a reshoot and add this into the movie." Who knows? We never know. It could be true. But
Well,
yes,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
give you something. They do watch your TikTok memes.
What do you mean they watch my TikToks?
They watch your TikToks.
Oh, how do you know that?
Just trust me on that one. They watch your TikToks.
All right, all right. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I do know that the official Miss Marvel has retweeted me, so somebody there watches it. But yes, I really, really love Iman's acting. I think she's phenomenal. But here's the thing: I think she can do more than just be herself. Like, I think she could do horror, and I think she could do comedy. I think Iman has more range than she knows. I don't think she fully even understands her ability because some people just have natural talent, right? And I think she is one of those lucky stars. And like I've seen a lot of horror movies. A lot of people can't scream and do horror the way she does. And then I've seen a lot of comedies where people don't have comedic timing. They don't have the facial expression. They don't just have the charm. She has a lot of it. I would love to see her in other stuff, but I honestly think she would be happy just only doing Miss Marvel and nothing else for the rest of her life. She is such a like she's just like so happy to be here. She doesn't care. And she's also very much like a behind the scenes kind of person, cuz if you watch the Miss Marvel episode, the cartoon that she makes in the beginning of Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani did that herself. So I wouldn't be surprised if the cartoon that this show starts off with might have been done by Iman Vellani herself.
She better get credit for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't she also write like a the what is it? The New Mutant comment? She helped co-write
yes,
that. Yeah.
yep. She with yeah
Seher?
with no
No,
not
Seher.
Sabirza, I believe his name is.
Yeah, his sister's name is Seher, and I always like think of her
Yeah,
otherwise. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. So she did a comic with him. She's really talented. So I don't know. Like she's like the best casting the MCU has done since Robert Downey Jr. Like
And it's
phenomenal.
funny, she found like I don't know if you remember, but when we went to the Miss Marvel screening, when she had her like interview, she said that the way that she found the role was through WhatsApp aunties.
WhatsApp, yeah, WhatsApp aunties. She found it through WhatsApp aunties. It's
Yeah.
so funny. That's the
That's from
most
WhatsApp.
Daisy way to find anything.
They finally have a purpose. Thank you, WhatsApp
Yes,
IPs.
WhatsApp
glorious
University
purpose.
coming through for once. Yeah.
I know. All right. So, this movie, now we have Carol going after what she thinks are the Kree and some of these things. And there's this just amazing scene where she just leaves her little room and the whole camera is upside down, and as she flies it kind of introverts to being right side up. Such a great shot. And me and Aisha were sitting in the middle of the IMAX. Like I literally felt like I was floating because of how big the IMAX screen is and how well it was shot. Like when they were doing the space scenes, I literally felt like I was in space. It was so cool. But out of the
Question:
big what
did y'all see it in 3D or did you see it just in like regular IMAX?
no,
Regular
regular
IMAX.
IMAX, not 3D.
Okay, okay, that makes a
I
lot of sense then.
Yeah, I don't think they had it come out in 3D.
No, they
Does
don't
3D
3D.
still exist? Do people still do that?
Does, because today when I saw it, they gave me the glasses and it was kind of 3D.
Mm.
And I will tell you, it was disorienting for me because, like, I'm a gamer. I can see the screen change like 3 or 4 times per sec, or
Oh.
not even. It's like it's 30 seconds. Then you multiply by a bit. I can see 240 FPS, and I can see the differences in between things, right? So when I
Mm-hmm.
was seeing it in 3D, I could see like random little artifacting, and I just did not have a great time with that. So if you
Mm.
are gonna watch it, do not do the 3D whatever version they're doing with it.
No, I haven't done 3D in years. Like the last movie,
Yeah.
I think I haven't done 3D in maybe like 5 or 6 years, and then I did it only
Mm.
for the Avatar movie, and then I
I was
didn't do it
gonna
again.
say the way of water. We watched that. Did we watch that together? I can't remember. I think we did.
Maybe I don't remember.
I think we did. Yeah. That was like
Wow.
that's the last one I saw in 3D. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
But
that's the
yeah,
last
if
one I
you
saw in
end up with
3D.
IMAX 3D, don't watch it. You just switch to a different theater if you can. I feel like if I'm gonna watch it again, I'm gonna watch the non IMAX version. Hopefully, it's a lot better because this one was a little disorienting for me.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting. All right, cool. Yeah, good to know. Good to know. All right. Yeah, I watched it in IMAX the first time. The second time I watched it in Dolby Digital, which was good because they have the cool chairs. And I also ate a lot of milk duds,
Mm.
which is not relevant, but I want you guys to know that I ate a lot of milk duds.
Thanks,
Okay, I
Neves. That's
always
one fun
find
fact.
it very interesting. Like, I don't really know a lot of people who like milk duds. That's like my like if I can't find any other candy. I'm
What?
the Crunch a Bunch person. Have you had Crunch a Bunch? Oh my
I
God, so
I like
good.
Crunchy Bunch, but the thing about milk duds is like you put them in your mouth and you chew on them, and you can chew on them for a good like 7 minutes, and they're still in your mouth.
I can't. I eat them
They
right
last.
away.
What? You
No,
swallowed
yeah.
them? Get out of
I
here.
literally eat them right away.
That's not how you're
Got
supposed to
it.
eat them.
Neves likes to hold it in his mouth. Aisha swallows. Good to know.
Moving right along.
Oh
so
God.
so so basically, I would say that we get to see Carol investigate something, and Monica is also investigating something, and they're like on their comms, and Monica goes, "Aunt Carol?" I was like, "Girl, you're the same age."
I know. I actually did the same thing. I was like, she looks so young, and she looked to be like, yeah.
It's really funny because not only are these three women of three different races, but they're also of three different generations. Because even though Carol looks young, she's actually a Gen X, and
I
Monica
know.
is a Gen Y, and what you call it is a millennial, and then Kamala is a Gen Z. So it's three generation of women, three different colors, like three everything. It's just I don't know. I really really liked it. It's so cool to see that in a movie, and they didn't need any male character. There are barely any male
I know.
characters in this
I
whole
love
movie.
that. All they need
It,
is Nick Fury. That's all you need. That's all you need.
yeah, it definitely passed the
And
Bechdel
Sagar.
test. Sagar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was the only people that they needed. No, it was really, really good. I enjoy that. All right, so they both decide to go up to this light and touch it, and McFerry goes, "Don't do that. Don't go to a light and touch it for no reason." So they touch it, and
It
as
was
soon as that,
curious.
yeah, and as soon as that happened, Kamala's bangle starts to glow, and then we see the scene that we saw at the end of Miss Marvel. And that was really really cool. And then we're like, okay, now this starts. And then Carol Danvers just walks down the stairs and says, "Oh, you have a really nice living room," and then she just like kind of leaves. Um, and then Nick Fury sees Kamala just flipping back and forth, and she's like, "Is this an Avengers test?" And she recognized Nick Fury right away. And if anybody could recognize Nick Fury, it would be Kamala Khan, who's done her research.
And it was so funny. Nick Fury was like, "Who the hell are you?" Like,
Yeah,
I was like,
she did.
"Yes, Nick Fury.
I
Thank
will
you for
say
saying the obvious."
I love the scene where her mom is like lecturing her, and her mom was like, "Your Captain Marvel is running around the house and in a frenzy, blah blah." And she's like, "She was in our house. She was in our house." And then how Sagar is like, he was like, "Oh, he's like, look at her. She's in on this. Look at her smiling." And she's like, "It's
Yeah.
happening. It's happening." I thought that was so cute.
One scene that I thought was really awkward was when the dad was like, "Is Captain Marvel pressuring you?" and
Oh yeah.
and like that would have been a really funny scene had it not been for the implications of like what that character had actually done in his
For
real life, because
real.
that
Yeah.
scene made me so uncomfortable when he said that.
I got
Uh,
angry. Yeah, I'm upset they left that in there.
Yeah, like I guess they had to because it was part of the flow, but it was
Mhm.
really obvious they tried to take as many scenes of him out, but you could tell there were a few that they just couldn't take out. But that scene, I was like, oh man, that
I
would have
mean,
been a
even the
lot funnier if
chemistry
someone else said
with
it.
him was kind of awkward, to be honest, if you think about it. Like the family hugs, all that was a little weird. But then I don't know if that was because of like the South Asianness of it, of like, like the interactions.
No, I think they,
But
I
I thought it was a
think
little awkward.
no, and I personally believe that they went back and did that on purpose and did some reshoots and then did some fancy editing and fancy CGI and tried to make him as a little as part of this as possible, because you could tell like he was such a big part of Miss Marvel, and
Hmm.
they literally like cut out almost all his scenes in this one, right? He probably has two scenes. One is this line right here, and then another one where he's talking about index funds and 401ks, right? Which to be fair, that was some good advice. I'm not gonna lie. Index funds are very useful, and 401k and Roth IRAs are also something you should invest in, even if you are 303 years old.
Neves, what's a 401k?
What?
What's a 401k?
401k is when the. All right, we don't have time for this, man. We only got like. Listen, I will tell you what a 401k is on Salaam Money, our new podcast where we talk about stocks and bonds.
Please,
All right.
no more.
Salaam Money.
Oh my
Money.
All right. So they start switching back and forth, and then Captain Marvel sees the artwork and all that stuff, and she's like, "This is creepy."
That was so funny.
And then they go to do Tarnax, and they start going, and there is a peace conference happening at this point with the Kree and the Skrulls, who have a lot of beef with each other, and they're trying to have peace talks because apparently the Kree planet of Hala has been in civil war for a while, and then there's heretics, and they lost the air, they lost the water, they lost the sun, so now they're like, trying to work with the Kree, and work with the Skrulls, and I think what they were going to do was they were going to have some kind of peace agreement with them and say, hey, we will do something for you, but we're going to take your air, right? And then since Captain Marvel came through, they were like, no, we're just going to go ahead and, I think before that, but Captain Marvel starts going and fighting them. And then what happened is they start switching again at this point. Now, this is where they do the switching and the fight scenes, which I thought was really cool because I have not seen Kamala Khan fight like that before. I was really impressed with her fight scene. They
Oh
really
my
stepped it up.
God.
They really stepped it up from the Miss Marvel show because I was like, whoa, she can actually fight. She was drop kicking people left and right,
She
which
did
I thought was
flips and shit too. I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, slides, using her powers to create like things to like grab onto randomly to change the direction. Like,
I saw
oh,
that.
it was so well done.
I really liked the way they did her powers. But the way they were just switching back and forth, but they brought some of the Kree to their house, and then there was also, they were in Nick Fury's station, and then they were at the Tornox place, right, where they were fighting a lot of these Kree people. It was just so well done. Even Monica Rambeau's powers were so cool when like she phased through things, and then she phases through this one guy and then goes through him, then turns around, punches him in the face, and as soon as she punches him, it turns into Kamala. Like really, really cool fight scenes. And I just loved the music that went with it. They had Skrillex and Missy Elliott playing, and I was just like, yo, I'm so hyped. This is going so hard, and it's only the first like 20 minutes of the movie. And I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be a good movie.
And that's when I realized too. It was
yeah.
that fight scenes when I realized this is gonna be a good movie.
I was like, whoa, is this gonna be a good movie? I was really, really happy with that. Aisha, what were your thoughts about that fight scene?
No, I really liked it. That's what I was gonna say. Probably one of my favorite scenes was when it was like switching back and forth because it was funny too because she'd like come in and then her family would be like Kamala, and then she'd be like hi, and then it'd be like going back like because every time I switched, I feel like it'd be something different.
Yeah.
I will say I was also proud of the family. Like damn, like Mama Khan had some moves.
I know.
She was like, but like I like that was interesting how like every time like the dad like that like she would literally like she was on the stairs at one point I remember and she like threw herself to like when the dad was about to get stabbed
Yeah.
so she would get and I was like damn like that was so like brown because I'm like I feel like
Yeah.
brown women always
She
be
could've
sacrificing
died.
themselves like brown
Yeah.
women always be sacrificing themselves and then that scene and then I remember like and then it's like every single time something was about to happen like someone it would just switch automatically. So I thought that was interesting. And then I loved how like at the end they just had them like tied up in the corner. And
Yeah, they had him. I love how
she's,
she
like,
was in
sweeping the
trouble.
rebel.
Like it's not even her fault, but they were all treating it like it was her fault, which is totally like a brown girl thing, where like you get in trouble for
Yeah.
everything.
And I was like waiting for them to be like, "Oh, we'll fix your house," and I'm like, "Are they gonna fix the house?" Like,
Yeah, that was really funny. So,
but I thought it
and
was
then
hilarious when the doorbell rang and the dad was like, "Ye gonna again?"
yeah,
I
going
was like,
I thought that was funny too, which basically means like, oh, now who's here?
yeah, no, it was here.
And then and Monica and Nick Fury show up, and Kamala's like, "Did I get in?" Like she's trying to get into the Avengers.
And then the iPad thing. She's like, "You
and
have all my information." And then this funny where she's like, "Are you surveilling us?" He's like, "Surveillance is a strong word." And I thought that was hilarious because, like, the FBI surveillance of Muslim communities. It's like exactly what I thought.
yeah, that was my thoughts exactly. I was like, "Oh, surveillance is a very strong word." I was like, "Yeah, you think?" I think they're being surveillance for other reasons. I thought that was really really funny. And then we also, she's basically so excited, and she's like, "What's your code name?" And she's like, "We'll workshop that." And like at this point, Monica and Kamala have such great chemistry. I feel like Kamala has chemistry with anybody, but I think her and Monica we had really really good chemistry. And then they talk about how their powers are entangled, and she goes, "Oh, I'll show you," and she does something, and basically what happens is Captain Marvel appears, and then Captain Marvel's like, "Crap." So what happens is she loses her powers, or she can't use her powers correctly after they switch, and she decides to go up in the air to use her powers again, so they switch back. So as they're doing that, Kamala's falling, and then they're like, "Yo, Monica, go fly, go grab her." And Monica's never flown before, and then Nick Fury goes black girl magic, and then she goes up and catches her, which I thought was so funny. The black girl magic scene was so funny.
Yeah, that's a spoiler I wanted to say when we were earlier. We are like, no spoilers. So
Yeah.
like that scene was so funny. But I also love the fact that like when Captain Marvel falls, Nick Fury goes, "Oh, it's just
It's just Carol. That
When
was
they hit the
funny.
ground, yeah, that was so funny.
It's like, yeah, just Carol.
It's just Carol." They're like, "Oh my god," and he's like, "Oh, it's just Carol."
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Yeah, but I did cry. I will say I did cry when like the scene where she was like, "I didn't care." Like she's like, "Is that why you didn't come home?" She's like, "I just wanted my aunt." And I will say like when Kamala was like, "Oh, that part was so funny when Kamala goes, 'Wait, did you say aunt?" And the dad goes, "They don't look related at all." God,
Yeah. And then her mom goes like, "Families are complicated, okay?"
yeah, but that was hilarious. It was like such a
Your
brown
auntie's
comment.
correct.
Yeah.
Such a brown comment to be like a little bit low-key racist and be like, "But she's like black. She's
There,
white."
there's another line that Zuniba auntie had where she was like, I think
The "I
Carol
will kill
was
you" line.
no, Carol was saying something, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. Now where's my daughter?"
Yeah, that was right after.
Oh yeah, with
she
Monica, with Monica's
yeah,
powers. She
she
was like, "Oh,
delivered
I'm
that
so
line
happy."
so well.
Okay. When
And
Monica was
then
explaining how she got powers, that was so funny.
Yeah.
yeah, and then she also calls her Lieutenant Trouble, where she's like, "It's Captain Rambo now," and she's like, "Oh, okay." So I thought that was really funny, where she was like, "Hey, we're besties, right?" And she's like, "Not really." that was a little testy. I thought that was fun.
I will say I
Uh,
love that one scene because it was so funny where Iman initially was like, because she was like waiting to do the twinsies thing. She was like, "Yeah, it was supposed to be like twinsies," and then when it actually came around, she's like, when her and Carol like do like the proper like meet. Carol's like, "Okay, like let's actually meet," and then she's like, "Okay," and then she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "I never asked you for copyright if like I can use."
oh,
I
you're
can
skipping
say,
ahead. You're skipping ahead. Hold
oh
on, we haven't
my
gotten
god,
there yet.
sorry. Okay,
We haven't
okay,
gotten there
I was
yet. All right.
excited.
So basically, after this happens, they take Kamala to where the scrolls are and stuff because they have to go and they have to save all these people, and they have to do that because basically they're still entangled. So like if they don't bring her with them, it kind of like hurts what they're doing. So they go to this place, and then the Kree are being attacked, right? And then Captain Marvel is kind of just going there, and she's trying to save these people, and basically they start taking the air, and now they have to evacuate everything, right? And at this point, they're telling Kamala not to use her powers, but like she's like, I have to help people, right? Which I thought was really, really interesting. And there's this one point where she's just like helping people, and then she's like, we can't leave these people. And then whatchamacallit, Carol kind of yells at her, and she was like, no, we have to go. We only can save whoever we can. And I thought that was like a really pivotal moment because that's like someone she admires and someone who she like puts onto this pedestal, and then she yelled at her, and you could tell that like that kind of hurt Kamala, and I felt like there was something missing there. I feel like there should have been some more scenes there where that could have been driven home a little bit more. But I really really liked that scene, and then you can tell like Kamala is the heart of this movie because she's the one that feels bad about what's happening here, right? And it was very much like someone just said, like, don't meet your heroes kind of scene. And then even though she yelled at her, she still believes in Carol because she goes, Captain Marvel is going to make everything better, I promise, when she talked to that little kid. I thought that was really cute. And then this also kind of fixes a plot hole, which I've had for the longest time when that dumbass show Secret Invasion came out. And I was like, why the hell do these Asgardians get a whole country and they can't even give like these Skrulls a little bit of land? And it made no sense to me. And then this movie just kind of just like made that entire show so irrelevant with this one line where we have a cameo by Valkyrie, and she comes in and she decides to give these Skrulls refuge. And I'm just like, the whole Secret Invasion could have been an email. Like we didn't need that movie. And now with the Marvels, it makes that movie even less relevant. I mean, that show even less relevant. Yeah, but what are your thoughts about the scene with Kamala and Carol working together and her yelling at her, and then her still kind of believing in her hero? What do you guys have thoughts about
So,
that?
I know Brown by Wonder mentioned like don't meet your heroes kind of thing. I don't think that's exactly what happened. I don't think she was upset that Carol yelled at her. I think in this moment, Iman realized that this is real. This isn't like comic books. This isn't pretend being superheroes. This isn't, getting a cat out from a tree. This is real life. And Carol made one hell of a decision in the heat of the moment.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a decision that Iman liked,
Yeah,
but she went with it. Like I think in this moment, Iman became a soldier.
yeah,
And it was
because
just so pivotal.
no, and you're totally right because there's a scene later on that we'll talk to where Iman has to make the right call. Kamala has to make a call that Carol doesn't like. So it's great how they kind of connect that together. I really, really like that. And now is the scene that Aisha was talking about, where she actually, takes a shower, she gets ready, and now she's being reintroduced to her heroes. And now they're like, by the way, I'm sorry I took your name, and then they do the whole twinsy thing. Aisha, I know that scene was really like I know you really enjoyed that scene. What are your thoughts?
No, like even to add on to your point earlier about like the comment about like meeting your heroes and how like it was a pivotal scene. I will say another aspect of it was like it also, if you look at Carol's perspective, when Kamala was like oh to the little kid when she was like Captain Marvel's gonna fix this, then like even Carol's face was like different. And like if you think about it later on and when they have those conversations, it kind of all connects in the movie, because the reason why Carol didn't go home was because she felt like she wouldn't be accepted because of the decisions she was making. And now it's like she saw that despite like what she did and that not being something someone wanted to do, they still respected and loved her. So I feel like that facial expression that she had was also very like important and kind of like foreshadowed like how she felt and like the idea of acceptance, because like it showed that like okay, she felt like a little bit sign of relief that like okay, this girl doesn't hate me, she doesn't no longer admire me even though I yelled at her. So I think that
Hmm.
like kind of pushed her to apologize. But in that scene when they're like apologized and like they like met for like for reals and it was so cute where like Iman basically wore her clothes and then asked her after and then like used her name and then asked her after. It was like don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness kind of
Yeah.
vibe. But I thought it was cute because in that one that like in that same time of that scene where Iman like suddenly was at a point when she was hugging Monica, she looked at Carol and she was like, "Get in here," and I thought
No,
that
no,
was
you're skipping
hilarious.
ahead again. That doesn't happen
Okay,
yet. That
okay,
doesn't happen yet.
okay,
Um,
okay.
but you call it. All right. So before
It's
that happens,
amazing.
yeah, before that happens, I do love that part, but I don't want to get to that part yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
before that happens, we go into where the Kree are in Hala, and then she brought the air in there, and people were finally able to take off the mask and breathe. And this is where I feel like this was such a great villain, and they didn't use the villain correctly. Because first of all, this villain helped guide this planet through a civil war. So basically, a civil war happened, and she got them to unite again, right? So she's obviously a great warrior and a great leader. And then she's going out and getting them resources, right? Resources that were basically deprived of them because of Carol Danvers, right? They call her the Annihilator. Like, if you really think about it from the villain's perspective, Carol is the bad guy. This villain that we have right now has not done anything wrong yet. She basically saved her planet, and now she has gotten this power, and she's trying to bring resources to her planet, right? And not to say the Kree are bad. The Kree have colonized the country stuff, but this particular leader hasn't. And she's got to the point where she's like, her scientist tells her that if she uses both bracelets, she could die. And she goes, "I'd gladly give my life for this planet." Like this bad villain has such great potential to be such a good hero. The backstory is there. They just didn't like go into it deep enough, but it was all there. And that's the part that really gets me frustrated because they have a great villain, and all this villain needed was a better fight scene and a Killmonger moment. And that's all you needed to make this one of the best Marvel villains. And I feel like they dropped the ball because the potential was wasted. What are your thoughts about that?
Miraja.
Oh,
Either one,
um,
Aisha. Aisha, you can go first.
go ahead. Yeah, you can. Okay. I mean, I liked her as a film. I agree. I mean, at the same time, like, yeah, I think I guess like the way that thought of it was more so I think the villain didn't have as much time or like development as could have been more beneficial, but I think that they were trying to focus so much on these stories of Monica and Iman, I mean and Kamala, so because of that they didn't give as much attention. I think the whole like I think the mindset was that they didn't want attention on the villain as much as they wanted on the three like Marvels. So that's why. So I do think that like it would have made the villain better and the movie better overall. But I think what the idea was that they were trying to like focus on the idea of like that like okay, so she gave me kind of like Bane vibes. I don't know if you got that. Like very like the way that like she spoke and like the way that like obviously like completely different villains, but initially when I first saw her on screen and like the way that she was speaking, I was like, this is very like Bane vibes to me. But then as it went on, I was like, okay, this makes sense why like there's not that many scenes that focus on like the background, because I know there was like only maybe a little bit where when she and I don't remember where this is now, so I don't know if I'm like going ahead again, but in that point where she's like explaining how she lived, like how she first met the Annihilator and how she was like, just working, and then she like spent what, like I think she said like I spent like 20 years training and fighting for Hala or something like that. And it shows how she developed, but I think that's the only time in the film they kind of focused on like how much dedication that she had and why she was doing what she was doing, because she was there when the AI was taken down and she witnessed it herself. Aside from that, I don't remember there being like any like origin as to why she became the villain. Um, but I think that they purposely did that because they wanted the focus to be more so on Carol and like Monica and Kamala's story as opposed to like the villain itself. So I think they purposely like kind of like made the villain mediocre in that way. If that makes sense. I feel like if it
Nah,
had, I don't know, yeah, that's the vibe that I got.
I feel like it was a very corporate decision to do that. I feel like they're like, hey, like I do agree that they feel like maybe you should focus on the heroes and not the villain too much. But I don't feel like it was because of the story. I think it was to sell toys. I feel like they're like, hey, people are going to buy toys of Monica, Kamala, and Carol. They're not going to buy toys of the villain. So let's focus on them so we can sell more toys. And it felt like a very
Mm,
corporate decision. That's my
okay.
take. What about you, Jazz? Uh
You're
oh,
muted.
Jazz, you're muted, or your mic is gone. We lost you. We can't hear you at all. Nope. All right. Anyway, so we'll get
He's
back
still
to
working
Jazz.
it.
All right. So that happens, and now we can go back to the point where they go into the mind readers and stuff like that, and they try to figure out all this information. And as they do it, they're like, Kamala is like, yeah, I got my Nani's bracelet. I think that's what they're after. Which I really love the fact that she says my Nani's bracelet and not my grandmother's bracelet. And a lot of that is it's a reference to one of the scenes in Miss Marvel, because when Kamala meets the guy, I forgot his name, but I think his Rishi, she accidentally says ummi instead of mom, and so she corrects herself, and then the guy goes, I know what ummi means. So it was like a point where like Kamala's like a little bit ashamed of her culture, so she's like sometimes it slips and she corrects herself, and now she was proudly saying my nani's bracelet, which I thought was really cool. It shows her growth. She wasn't ashamed of her like heritage and her culture. She was proudly saying, hey, this is my nani's bracelet, by the way. And she said that like more than 3 times, which I thought was really cool. I don't know. I don't know if you guys caught that. Jazz, Aisha. Oh, Jazz
Yeah,
left again.
I know they mentioned it again at that point where she makes that decision later on as well, where she says it like she was like, I had to do this because I couldn't lose my Nani's bracelet. So there's a few times where she like notices it, and then like when even Darben was like, where did you get that? She was like, my Nani.
Yeah. So I thought that
He
was
mailed
really
it to
really
me.
good.
I thought that was funny where she was like, my Nani mailed it to me.
Yeah. So funny. And then there's a scene where like Kamala's like, "Oh yeah, I saw see coordinates of the stars." And then Carol's like, "Where did they lead?" She's like, "To the stars." Which her comedic timing and her inflation was so funny when she said that. I love
I
that scene.
died because I love how Carol, you could tell in her face that she was pissed, but she was like, that's okay. We'll figure
She's like,
She's not
that's
wrong.
she's not. He's like, Carol's like, that's on me. So basically, she has these mind reader things where they go into your memories, and if you watch Captain Marvel 1, that's what she was hooked up to when she was upside down, and they found out who Dr. Lawson was. So they go into their minds, and this was a really cool technique because what they really did was they were giving people recaps without having to give them recaps. It was kind of like part of the plot, but you also know the whole thing about like, she's Lieutenant Trouble. She goes into that airplane with her, and then we know that, she does this thing with the AI. And then we also know that Kamala was with her family and how she became a superhero. And then we know that, Monica was blipped, then she came back and her mom was dead. And she was really upset to have to relive that. And this is why I love Kamala, and I think Aisha, you were trying to mention this earlier too, is that like she has the emotional intelligence to like know that it really upset her, and then she goes in for the hug, and then she's like, "Come on, Carol, you too, get in here," which I thought was really funny. Aisha, what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was hilarious because it was like that was so funny to me because it was like literally like the bonding thing, right? Where she was comfortable enough where she's like hugging her, and then from the back she was like, and then even Monica noticed because Monica like looked up and was like, this is not a Carol thing to do. Um, because when and the hug was so awkward too, the way that Carol was like hugging her. So I thought
Yeah,
that was funny because they were trying and like even with the team, the idea of a team, right? Where someone was like, "Oh, you have I forgot. Oh my god, I'm blanking on her name, but she was like, "Oh, you have it's you're gonna have teammates," and she's like, "Not teammates. We're not a team."
Valkyrie.
And
Yeah,
yeah, Valkyrie. So it's like it's interesting, like how like it's showing the character development that Kamala's like character of like being so friendly and so open and being so like family oriented. She's rubbing that off on other people in the
yeah,
MCU. So like I really like that because that gave like a more like a bonding thing, and it was like showing you how like she's kind of bringing the two that have been so far apart for so long together.
hmm,
And I just thought that was really nice. Like I was like, this is so wholesome and so cute. And then I just thought it
yeah,
was hilarious. Like right after that, they like her parents FaceTime and they're like, like So yeah,
yeah. Jazz, what were your thoughts?
I know. Yeah.
Iman's just perfect here. Like I can't really add more to that. I should have said perfectly. Or sorry, Kamala is perfect here. I feel like
I know
like
they're
all of us are
intertwined,
using
right?
the actors and actresses' first names because we met them in real life, and so in our minds we like kind of have this weird connection and we think we know them. But yeah, no, it's Kamala. She did a good job in this scene. She was definitely more emotionally mature than anybody else out there. And
Yeah.
then seeing Monica and Carol like just like accept it almost, or like, all right, she's right. She might be younger, she might be new, but she's right. Let's
Yeah.
get
I
things
like
done.
this comment here. It's like, honestly, it's Iman's movie, and like I kind of feel like it is, which I feel bad for Brie Larson. But they also seem to really, really love Iman. Like every time you talk to, you hear the interviews, they're just like, we just love this kid so much, and like I don't think they'd even be mad at the fact that it's Iman's movie. It's basically a Miss Marvel movie if you really, really think about it.
I'm
And
not mad.
Well, that's
I'm not.
because I know there was like a whole thing about people like freaking out about her like being killed off for like Peter Parker. And now it's like I feel like now people are gonna see like the value of her character more because of this film. And also it's like it's I don't know, just it makes me really happy because it's like the idea that before like people are like, oh, because I used to hear like all these things where people are like, oh, people only like her because she's like the first brown person, right? I mean, if you don't count Kumail Nanjiani from Eternals, but
Ha.
but but I was like, I'm like, it's like it goes beyond the culture and beyond like just her identity. Like her character is that wholesome and so nice, like so like perfect for the universe that even if she wasn't brown and like the way like Muslim or like all these different marginalized communities that she represents, like she brings like this different outtake and representation because of her personality in itself.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, like you mentioned, her being killed off for Peter Parker. That's a reference to the comic book, not the MCU.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I think there's a lot of reasons why people don't like why she was killed off. It was a little bit of fridging, a little bit of like how inappropriate it was for her to die for this white guy, and there's a lot of weird things they do, like him sleeping with her mask, and like a lot of weird stuff they do in that comic. But the main reason they did that was because they wanted her to die so she can come back as a mutant, so they could have a little synergy with the MCU. And a lot of people don't agree with it. It seemed like another corporate move. There's a corporate reason to do it, not a creative reason to do it. But it is what it is. So I don't, yeah, but I just wanted to clear that up. All right, but definitely love the meeting. And then there's a scene where Kamala's like, I would drop high school for you. And I thought that was really, really funny. And, oh, man, that was like, come on. Her mom would never let her do that, right, Jazz?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. And like the fact that you just said it like so nonchalantly and just out loud, like, no, I would totally do this for you. It's like, oh, Iman.
I mean, even if you go back in it, Nick Fury when he told Monica to go fly, he was like, "Monica, go fly, or Kamala's not going to graduate high school."
Yeah, that scene was really funny. Also, we also get to see Monica and Carol have a little bit of a resolution where they're like, kind of like, she was like, "Hey, you told me you would be right back before I knew it, and you didn't come back for 30 years." And like you could see, like Carol was really upset because she didn't know how to answer that, because she didn't know what was going to happen after she did what she did, which we find out a little later. And then Monica replies like, people needed me, and she goes, "Well, we needed you." And I was like, this kind of basically went back and forth of like why she was not a big fan of Captain Marvel in the WandaVision show. You could tell she had some kind of like beef with her, and I thought that was really cool that they finally got that resolved too. So after they get this resolved, one of my favorite scenes in the movie kind of happens, and it's where they start practicing their powers, and they go into the Beastie Boys montage, and they're just having fun, and they're workshopping names and calling her Professor Marvel. I don't know. I just thought that scene was really cool where they're like practicing older moves and stuff. I do have one issue with that, but we can go into that later. But like, what about you guys? What are your thoughts about that? Aisha?
Oh, I was waiting for Jazz, but I think he's changed.
I put you on the big screen. The big screen means
okay. Oh, I was like, yeah. I mean, I really like that. I especially like the jump roping and how like it was funny because they were like they made it comical with like the bloopers. By showing like when they were like and like I think my favorite part of it was when at one point Monica was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and then she's like ready, and then Kamala was like, wait, and she kept like, and every single time that kept happening, I thought it was really funny. So I like that because it was very like natural and it showed like their bonding. And it's kind of like the sped up bonding, and like it was cute how like eventually, and then I liked how like when they transitioned it was so natural, with like with like holding the balls and jump roping and all that different stuff. So I really liked that too, and the music was all like perfectly oriented. I will say though, like my personal favorite scene is like after a little bit.
Wait, I didn't hear you. Like, what did you say? We lost you there for a second.
I said, I think for me, more so than that part, I liked what comes after when they like make their first like trip. So I'm gonna wait to make more comments.
Yeah. My favorite thing was when they put the books on top of their head, like My Fair Lady. I thought that was a really cool reference. I really, really enjoyed that. No, I thought that was really, really cool. And now they go and they fight well, they have to go fight this person, but they're trying to figure out where they have to go. They figure out they have to go to a planet with water, and then Carol seems to know a planet with exactly the right amount of water or a certain amount of water, and she's like, "That's very specific," and she's being a little weird about it. So they go to this place, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of famous here," and then Kamal's like, "You're kind of famous everywhere," which I thought was funny. And she's like, "No, not like here. I helped them out with a little legal thing," and then they go in there, and she has to wear like this mushroom hijab thing that like was random, and then people start singing, and apparently in this planet you could only sing, and this is where people were freaking out because people heard that like Captain Marvel was going to be a musical, and people were like, "This is so stupid, like this is going to so dumb," and like it worked out. It was fine. Relax, people. I thought it was really funny. We had to see Brie Larson sing, and obviously we know she could sing because people who have watched the people who've watched Scott Pilgrim versus know that she could sing. Like she has this amazing song in Scott Pilgrim, which is like you're like, damn, she's so good. And then she sings in this song, which I think is really really funny. And then basically they basically discuss the plot of like what they're about to do in song. And while that's happening, Kamala and Monica are just reacting to it, and their expressions are just so funny and so hilarious. And I thought that entire thing was just really really funny. Aisha, what are your thoughts about that, Seed?
Oh my God. I loved when before they decided, when they said, I can't remember the name of the place, but when they said the name, they were like, they like make a face, and Monica's like, and then Kamala's like, didn't she say that weird? And Monica's like, yeah, why did she say that so weird? And I love that scene because it was like, I was like, oh my God, did she like vacation there or something? Like I did not expect it to be like what it was. So I thought that was hilarious because the way they built it up, like what's gonna happen when she gets there, was funny. And then the fact that like that the facial expressions comment that you made, when her like outfit changes from like that bummy outfit to suddenly like this like gorgeous like gown. They were like, Monica was like, the hell, where did that come from? I thought that was hilarious.
I like when Monica was with their bottles, she was vibing at the end. Like it was just so funny.
But it's funny because in the beginning too, where like the prince was like, "Oh, and one that could look happier," and
yeah, that was funny. I enjoyed that part. I know a lot of fanboys are probably going to complain about it, but I really really liked that part. I thought that was really funny, and I
also loved that they made the comment where she was like, Monica was like to Kamala, like, "How many of your fan fiction stories are coming true right now?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, this must be great content for your like fan fiction book. And I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, I'm sure that some people who are watching this are literally like thinking that in their head. They're like, oh my God, my biggest like fan fiction theory of like Brie Larson singing and Captain Marvel like dancing and singing and being a princess is coming true. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
I love the fact that Monica actually knows about Kamala's fan fiction. Like she must have been on her website, which I think is really really funny.
Yeah.
All right, so they start setting up, and they give them uniforms, which is that's cool. We get to see Kamala's new uniform, we get to see Carol's new uniform, and we get to see Monica's uniform, which looks really really dope.
So sick.
It was really good. Although I do think I prefer Kamala's original costume. There's more culture involved in stuff like that. In this one's a little bit of different. But I did like the scarf, how you could be used as a weapon. We get to see Kamala use it as a weapon, and then we get to see another fight. And this fight, they're switching and they're doing all these cool moves, and you get to see like. Carol said like tag me in, and then they do it and they switch places, and I think it's really cool. And there are scenes where Kamala is like running away, and then as soon as she switches, Carol comes back and punches somebody, and it's just really really cool fight scene. I really really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts, Aisha?
Same. Like, so I did find it weird though initially because when the fight first started, Kamala seemed like she didn't know what she was doing, but I'm like, but literally, like in the beginning of the movie, she had like all these cool stunts, and like, before the prince told her to use a scarf, she seemed like very like confused and like she didn't know how to like know what she was doing, fighting wise at all. I felt like.
I don't think it was that. I think
she
Carol,
was just overwhelmed. Maybe?
No, I think Carol just told her not to use her power, so she was trying to figure out how to fight without using too much of her powers.
Yeah.
Because they still hadn't perfected using, like, they practiced, but this is the first time using it in the field, right? And they're still being a little iffy with it. So I get that.
I think that
So
they're also not trying to like let the Darbin know that everybody was there.
yeah. Also, Kamala had to kind of hide because she has the bangle, and
Yeah.
they don't want her being found. So that's the other thing, right?
Yeah, so I would say that part I was like, oh, and then when she started using the scarf, I'm like, okay, nice, because he's like, use the scarf, and she's like, oh, so I like that, and then that also I was like a little bit of a South Asian reference because I'm like, okay, yeah, like a Dupatta warrior, I see you, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I liked it. I think like after this fighting scene specifically, I do like wish they kind of showed more of like what happened like with the water stuff,
Hmm.
because I feel like that was a little bit like because like they showed with like the scroll people like what happened to them and like with their air, but they didn't show anything about with the water with this. They just show that the water was gone and they're like, okay, the water is gone.
No, no, they showed it. They showed the water coming down to the land. They showed like a dry
Yeah,
No, no,
floor.
no, no,
fluorescent,
no, no, no. But I'm saying they didn't show what
like
happened to those
people
people.
swimming or
No, no, no,
drinking
no, no,
or
no, 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 not that. I'm saying like the people whose water they stole. They didn't
they
show
Oh,
didn't
what
steal
happened
all
to
the
them.
water.
yeah. I mean, the planet is 97% water. I'm sure they don't need
Yeah,
97%, right? So
yeah, I guess.
and they were still fighting when Kamala and them left. So Kamala and them left,
Yeah,
and they were still fighting. And Kamala, like we mentioned earlier, she made the hard decision, and she pressed the button to jump them out of there, right? And she was like, "Hey, I couldn't take the chance of them getting my Nani's bangle." Uh, so she made the hard call, and then she's really like, I'm sorry that I am a part of this, and then things got tangled. And then Carol's really like, "No, I'm sorry. This is all my fault." And then she tells us what she did. They tell us that after the first Captain Marvel, she goes and she tells Jude Law's character that she's gonna come and she's gonna end everything. So that she goes there and she fights the Supreme Intelligence, which is good that they didn't ignore that part, because if they did ignore the Supreme Intelligence, it'd be like, okay, where's the plot point of at the end of Captain Marvel 1? So what she does is she goes back and she destroys that. Now, when she destroys that, it leads the country into a civil war. It is the reason their water dried up. It's the reason they don't have air, and it's the reason they don't have a sun. And it's her fault. And she says, I couldn't come back after having done that. I have to fix it. And then Monica goes, well, that's not how family works, right? You make mistakes, you can still come home. You're family. And then they kind of just like have this like reunion, and they kind of all like kind of just like make up a little bit, which I thought was a little rushed. But it was still like
Family.
but it was still a good moment. I really liked it. What are your thoughts about that? Jazz, you want to go first?
Yeah, so you know how I feel about these scenes. Like whenever they're like kind of forced and rushed, I don't like it. If the emotional hit's not there, I'm like, whatever. Um, I'm glad though that they did clear the air, at least on Monica and Carol's relationship,
Yeah.
because when she was like, that's not how family works, right? I was like, okay, that's good. But then Iman's just like standing over there, kind of crying, like, okay, this is a little weird. Right, so that juxtaposition messed with me, but I am glad that the Monica and Carol's story played out well.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute that they included her too, though. Like she's like crying on the side. They're like, "You too."
Yeah, like, come on, you're an
Yeah.
afterthought, but just come hug.
Yeah.
So while this fight was happening, we see the Khan family, and the Khan family is kind of going up. Like, actually, it happened before this fight, but like while they're going up, and I love how like Amr is looking at the sun, and he's like Subhanallah, and he's like just like really like admiring space, and he's like, "Is there direction in space?" And I was like, "This guy is trying to figure out
This
which way
guy's
is
gonna
Mecca."
pray.
He wants to know
He's
where to
trying
pray.
to find the Kaaba.
I know that. I know that for sure. There's got to be a deleted line. I know it.
I also love how they're like, "He's taking us to Jahannam," and then
Yeah.
to the hell, and then Nick Fury is like, "Is he calling me the devil?"
Yeah, that was really funny.
The fact that Nick Fury knows what that is like 10
Yeah.
out of 10. Like, I am so happy Nick Fury knew what that was.
That was really funny.
But yeah, like a classic mom though. The fact that like when the mom was like on the phone with them too,
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, beta, like I hope you stay safe." And then she was like, "And tell Carol that like I will kill her if he doesn't do that." And then
She's like,
she's like,
she's
"What
like,
did
"मैं
your
इसकी
mom
जान ले
say?"
लूंगी." I think that's what she
Mhm.
said. When she
Yeah, and
was
then she's
like,
like, what did your mom say?" She's like, "Nothing. She wishes us luck." She's like, "Nothing, nothing, nothing."
Yeah. No, that part is funny. And then I love it. And then the mom's like, something's wrong with your cat. I think she's a little pudgy. That's the point where I was like, oh, she's pregnant. Like I didn't even like when the eggs start showing up. I was like, I already knew. Like I don't know if
Oh
that
my
was a
God, I
surprise for
didn't even
you.
realize that. I
Really?
thought, you know what I thought? I thought it was because she was just making like a South Asian comment of like, "Oh, she's looking healthy."
No. I thought the well actually you know what now that you mention it that might have been the sound. It could have went
It
both
could have
ways.
worked both ways.
I literally thought that. I thought that like she's just making like a comment, like she's like, "Oh, like your cat," like because she's eating everything. Well, Goose is eating everything, right? So like in my head, I was like, she's just like saying like, or like she's healthy because she eats everything. Like she needs to
Yeah.
stop eating. I didn't even think about the pregnancy thing. And then I was like, when they were like, "Oh, maybe it's like an invasion." I thought maybe Darben put something there because they were like, "Oh, she's targeting Nick Fury next." But I think they wanted us to think that because they
Really?
were like, that's how they led into the story. But
I didn't fall for it. I knew they were eggs, and I knew they belonged to the Flurkins. Like as soon as she said that, and then I started putting things together. I'm like, now it makes sense why the Flurkin was eating all the furniture in their house because she wanted to make a nest for like all
Mhm.
this area, and then. As we established earlier, Goose is Muslim, so she took like all the Allah signs and everything and put them in her nest too.
Goose is Muslim confirmed. Nick Fury's secretly Muslim. I almost want to say yes, but in a Secret Invasion, we really saw more of his faith, and he was, a bit more devout there. But
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise, the fact that he knows so much, I'm like, why do you know so much?
I
Like,
literally
this is
just saying
stuff.
amen though during when like but that's towards that later on, like after
Yeah, yeah.
this.
There's one
I
scene
love
we're gonna
that.
get to. I was like, oh my god, Nick
yeah.
Fury, you know too
Well,
much.
we'll talk about that. Actually, we can probably talk about that now. Basically, after that fight ends and they all kind of lose, they go back and they realize, oh, she's not just targeting random planets. She's targeting all the ones that Carol cares about and the ones that she calls home. So obviously, they're gonna go after Earth next. So as they go to Earth, they realize that the terminal is having issues and they need to evacuate. So they don't have enough ships to evacuate everybody. So what happens is they decide to use the Flurkins, and they realize that all of those egg things were basically how the kittens are born. So they use the Flurkins to transport all of the people because more than 15 people can't fit in one of those evacuation ships, but 100 cats can, and the cats can eat like multiple people. So they have this hilarious scene where the cats are just eating all the people, and my theater lost it. Like I watched it 2 times. Both times, I think that got the most pop and the most reaction,
Yeah.
and it was really really funny.
Because they're so
Aisha,
cute.
as a cat lover, what were your thoughts of the Flurkin
I
scenes?
thought it was so funny because like some of the cats like they would look at you like that one scene where one of the scientists is like she's like literally like shivering in the corner, and this literally really really cute little kid comes and looks at her, and she's like, "Ah," and the cute little kid is like staring at her. And I'm
Yeah,
like, and they were like the cutest little kittens, and then they just like, and then I thought that was hilarious because like in the beginning of the movie where like she's holding the cat and she's like, "It's a crazy cat," and her mom is like, the whole like Kamal's family is like looking at her weirdly, and then suddenly the tentacles come out. They were like, "Ah," so
someone says Noah's Ark, more like Noah's cat. Like
oh my
that's
god,
so
yeah.
funny.
That's so true.
Uh,
Like I thought that was hilarious. Like, but then I loved it because I'm like, this is so Muslim. Like, cats to the rescue.
I know.
But I just thought it was hilarious. But yeah, no, that scene was so funny. The music was funny, and now Iman was like, I'm sorry," and she's like
Yeah,
stopping people from with like her like powers from like running away, and like
yeah.
there's like yeah, there.
And I also like the fact that like
Do not run away. Let the Firkins eat you. Do not. Run away.
I
The PA announcement, yeah.
that was really funny. And I also like the fact that, like, you know, Carol had gotten a lot of complaint that she doesn't show a lot of emotions and stuff like that. And in this one, when the Carol finds out that, like, we're gonna hurt Kitten, she goes, "Oh, fine," and she smiles and starts to, like, get cast. I thought that was so funny.
She was so cute in that scene. Like,
They really did.
I'm so glad they did that.
They did a number on Carol's personality in this. They did such a good job on, like, kind of like fixing her personality and like, you know, just her character development. They did such a good job. I'm really happy with the way Bree's character came out. And then we see the Khan family get into one of the ships, and as the ship is going, you see Amr sing "La La La," and then, like, Nick Fury's like, "Are you praying?" And he's like, "Well, don't stop, amen." Amen. Which I thought was really, really funny. What are your thoughts about that?
This is my favorite scene in the whole movie, honestly. Like, Amir is just saying, you know, there's no God but God, Muhammad's a messenger, which is a English translation of the Arabic, and then he's repeating this over and over because he's thinking he's gonna die, and this is what he needs to say, right?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that Nick Fury knew what it was, he's like, "Are you actually praying right now?" And then Amr stops, and he's like, "No, keep going. We need all the help we can get right now." And I'm like,
Well, here's the thing, though.
perfection.
Here's the thing, though. He technically wasn't praying. He was actually taking his shahada, because usually when you do that before you die. So Amr wasn't praying that we don't die. He thought he was going to die and was
Right.
taking his shahada. So it's really different. Most people are probably like, "Oh, he's praying." He's actually not praying. He's actually expecting to die. He's not praying to not die. He's
It was
actually
right
like,
after, yeah.
he already accepted that he's going to die, and he's saying the shahada, which I think is so funny that we're the only people that get that, because everyone else
Right.
is like, "Oh, they're just praying." Like, no, technically he's not. I
And
thought
it's
that was
hilarious
funny.
because, like, that's right after the mom was like, "Mr. Fury, your ship is going the wrong way."
Oh my god.
I was like,
Oh
"Oh
my
my God, it
God.
would be theirs." But yeah, that was hilarious. And then I like right after that when they landed, like when like they're saying all the prayers and then they land, there's like that one sole person in the park that, like, when
Yeah.
all like
He's
the
just
freaking they're
looking like,
throwing up people, and the one person in the park is like,
Yeah. By the way, that's Liberty State Park. I recognize it from the what you
course
call
you
it,
do.
the rails and stuff. So shout out, right in Jersey City, Liberty State Park. They did a good job of recreating it. I thought that was funny. All right. So at this point, we have the big end fight. Now, up to now, I'm like, this is a great movie. I am so into it. Everything is great. This movie is perfection. Now, here's where they start to lose me a little bit. So, we get the main villain showing up wherever they are, and they start to fight. Now, the fight's really good, but for some reason, every single fight scene that we've had either music behind it or a score behind it. This one didn't, which I thought was really weird, and it took the energy out of the fight for me. And I also felt like the fight ended a little too easily. I felt like it should have been a little bit more difficult. There should have been more into the fight. And the way it ended was kind of like, oh, it's done already? And then there's the little betrayal at the end. And the part that I really liked was when Kamala was, being captured, and like Kamala was screaming and she sold that. I thought that was really good.
I felt
And
the
then,
pain.
right? Exactly. I thought that was really good. And then she takes the bracelet, and I'm like, oh, snap. This is where it's going to get really tough. This is where they're going to lose. But no, she takes the bracelet, she uses it, and she dies. And I'm like, oh, that's it? So,
That's
like,
it.
this is where the movie kind of lost me. Everything up to this point, I'm like, yo, this movie is like a 10. And then this is where they kind of lose me. Because number one, the villain didn't get their great, like, Killmonger speech before they died. They didn't get to explain themselves. And also, like, I don't know, all the fights were so good before this, right? And the fight wasn't bad. The fight was pretty good.
No,
but,
the
like,
fight was technically phenomenal, man.
yeah,
Like,
something about the editing was off on this, because I felt like it was too fast, and like everything was scored so well. There was the Beastie Boy music, the Skrillex music, and then this fight didn't have a score behind it. It was actually like very quiet, and I don't understand why they went with that direction. And it may be because, Nia DaCosta had to be taken off post-production because she had other obligations, because they kept postponing this movie. This movie's been postponed like 7
Yeah.
times, right? Which really affected her schedule. Like, she is a black director who is just up and coming. She can't lose all these opportunities to finish this movie. So obviously she had to go and do some other things, and she had to edit it and stuff remotely. So she had to like trust a lot of other people to kind of do it. And I felt like this is where the movie kind of loses me. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? Feel free to disagree with me.
So I don't disagree with the fact there is no score, and this is where the movie does take a downward turn. I will say though, the fight itself was really cool.
Yeah.
Like seeing
I
the
agree.
three of them in sync fighting like that. I have never seen a fight scene done like that.
So
that
cool.
well.
Every
no,
fight
that's a
scene
lie.
I like. I feel like
There's
like the-
one show that did it, but like it's an anime, and so like, but seeing it in like live action, we have three people switching places and delivering punches in sync.
Yeah.
Like that was such a cool concept. I've never seen it in like in real life essentially.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Aisha, what about you?
Yeah, I like that. I will say that like at one point I was like, what the heck? Like the villain is becoming good now. When they were like, when she
Yeah.
was like, yeah, for Hala, and she's like, for Hala, and I'm like, yeah, but she wants that for Hala, so maybe like she doesn't care and she just wants anything, and then out of nowhere, of course, like she's evil. She's not gonna wanna, yeah. So I will say that, but yeah, I also was like, what the heck, like that she died like basically. It was like very quick. That part I thought was like it could have been a little bit more intense. Also like right after this fight scene, I was like sad when they were like, oh, when they were like, let's like swap me out, right? And they couldn't switch anymore, and I was like, oh, that made me sad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Brie or Carol Danvers felt sad. Like she felt like she lost a part of her in that moment.
Yeah. I think she really
got
enjoyed
so
it.
accustomed to it. Yeah, she loved it.
She was
All
like,
of them
oh.
loved it.
She was like, oh, I guess that's good. Like it was like
Yeah. She was so disappointed.
and I love whatchamacallit, Kamala's reaction when they were like for Hala. She's like looking at them like, what the hell, for halal? Is that what, are we getting halal? Like, what is Hala? I ain't no Hala back, girl. What is this? I thought that was really funny. And then when the main villain dies, they're like, hey, we have to close this rift. And then Kamala has to put on 2 bracelets. Now listen, as Kamala puts on these 2 bracelets, at this moment in time, she may be one of the most powerful Marvel characters in the MCU. In this
She
brief
is.
moment of time,
Mhm.
not only is she a mutant, not only does she have these cosmic powers, but she has the quantum bands. And as we've seen, Brie Larson couldn't even beat somebody with 1 quantum band. So the fact that at this point in time, Kamala has 2 and she can control them, unlike, the other person, she is, in this point in time, one of the most powerful Marvel characters of all time. Shout
But
out
she
to
took
her.
it. But like at the end of the movie, like she only was wearing one. So I'm like,
She
why
was
did
only
she
wearing
take that?
1.
Yeah.
I guess it's too powerful to have both. I don't know. She decided
No,
to
this
only
was
keep
definitely
one.
a reshoot of some type.
You think it was a
because
reshoot? I was thinking that. I
It
feel like
was
they
so
like,
disjointed.
yeah, because I was thinking about that. Because I was like, oh, now she has 2 hype, and then like later I was like, she only was wearing one. I'm like, I feel like because I think that they probably didn't, maybe like they didn't purposely like do that, because she even said, she's like, oh, I traveled like these bracelets traveled like through space and time for me. So you would expect she was gonna keep them both on. I also was confused like at one point because when she was wearing okay, so you know how like they were like, oh, don't hit the bracelets because the bracelets are observing your power, but they kept hitting the bracelet anyway. So it was like that frustrated me during some of the fight scenes, because I'm like, you literally had like a whole entire spiel about how like, oh, Monica was like, oh, Carol, every time you hit the bracelet, it takes away your powers, and she's like, oh yeah, and then they kept hitting it anyway, and it wasn't like Darben was like using it to defend herself. Yeah, she was, so that makes sense. But sometimes they were just hitting it. I was like,
I didn't even catch that.
what?
That's funny.
I caught that because it was annoying me.
I caught it too.
Because I was like, I'm a little bit OD, something like with OCD with like some things. And I was like, why are you doing this? But yeah, I will say that was an interesting thing. But Yeah, overall, I really liked it. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for what comes next. So,
So before we talk about what's going next, I feel like the only thing this movie needed was like number one, a better score in the fight scene, and maybe 20 more minutes of like the villain, and just
Hard
getting
agree.
a. That's really all this movie needed. You give me 20 more minutes of the villain, and give me a better score at the end fight, and we have a great movie. Like that's all this movie needed.
Marley agrees.
Yeah, the Marvel felt like the result of heavy studio meddling. I agree. I think that it's a great movie that was trimmed down into a like a movie that was entertaining and a lot of fun, but it could have been so much better in my opinion. But let's talk about what made this movie exciting for the future. And there's two scenes. One I love a lot. The other I'm like, okay, cool. A lot of people are gonna care, but whatever. The one that like I love is a Young Avengers. The fact that Kamala comes out,
Yes.
the fact that she comes out with the Nicolas Cage, not Nicolas Cage, Nicolas
Nick
Fury,
Fury.
Nick Fury, yeah. The exact same way he did in Iron Man
the exact
2.
same
Yeah.
lines. Like, you think you're the only kid Avenger out there? You're the only kid superhero out there? Like,
I know
you're
she's
part
like,
of a
I'm
big world.
22.
Yeah, she's like, that was so funny. Like, I'm 23. She's like, it doesn't matter. You're still
I was
a
right
kid.
there, yeah.
Which is really funny because I think like Peter Parker is actually younger than her technically in this timeline.
Oh, yeah, significantly.
Right? So, and then she was like, by the way, did you know Ant-Man had a daughter who I guess would be older too because she's in college. So I guess like they're both in their like 20s. Kamala's the youngest one of all of them. But I was like, yo, they're going to go with the Young Avengers. That's going to be so dope. I'm going to love this. So it seems like what's going to happen is all of the other Avengers are going to go and fight Secret Wars. And they're going to be trapped in another dimension, another planet, another timeline. And the world is going to be left defenseless. And the people who are going to come to its rescue are going to be the Young Avengers led by Kamala Khan. I'm so hyped for this. I am so hyped.
Bro, when I saw that scene, I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, the MCU's in shambles. And you see all these articles coming up. I'm like, nah, y'all are all wrong, bro. This
Yeah.
is a new beginning. And I haven't been this hyped since that exact scene in when Nick Fury recruited Iron Man.
Yeah, I thought this was so cool. And someone says America Chavez. America Chavez is another one. And then they got Hulkling, who was Hulk's son, who we found in She-Hulk. And then there's also Wiccan, who is supposed to be in Agatha Coven of Darkness. So we got Hulk, Wiccan, America Chavez, and we got Kate Bishop and Kamala Khan. That's a great team.
Oh, Riri Williams, too.
Oh, and Riri Williams. You're right, Riri Williams. And maybe
Yeah.
Young Patriot. Young Patriot might be in there too.
So, hype.
It-
I
so
just, I just
hyped.
also love that they made it like comical in a way because when she did her whole spiel and they're just like she's just staring at her, she was like like
Please?
it's like the whole idea that like she was like expecting a different exciting response like herself, and then when she didn't get that, she was like please. And then I love the like iPad thing where she was like, where did you get this information? Where did you get that? And like it's like she had the same reaction where she's like, oh my God, whoa, where did you get this information about me? So it's like she
Yeah.
was using that same what was used on her, and it was hilarious.
They asked her like, where do you get this information? She's like, my couch, which makes sense because it looked like they left it there because her couch was in shambles.
10 out of 10. Accurate.
That was really, really funny. Kamala can carry a movie. Like we know she can carry a movie. So if she leads the Young Avengers, that's gonna be so dope. I'm more excited for that than the other end credit scene that we're gonna talk about next. And that's when we see that Monica wakes up and her mom is there, but her mom doesn't seem to recognize her. And then as her mom gets up, she basically rescued her from space and brought her somewhere. And we turn around and is motherfucking Hank McCoy from
Reprising
X-Men.
the role.
And we got Kelsey Grammer doing the voice, and like it looks different. He doesn't look like the one from Days of Future Past, but because he looks more CGI, and he looks actually more like the one from the cartoon, like the '97 X-Men cartoons.
Yes.
He actually looks more like him.
It's
And I
so
was like,
X-Men 97. I'm hyped.
It was, and I really like that. And they mentioned Charles Xavier, and then as they show Binary on the back, they show the X-Men door. Yo, X-Men are here. That's going to be dope. I'm super excited, and it makes sense for them to bring this on to us in a movie with Kamala Khan because Kamala is the first mutant in the 616 MCU.
Everything's coming
So,
together. Everything's coming together.
Yeah, I'm excited for the X-Men, but I don't know. I'm more excited for the Young Avengers. I feel like the Young Avengers
I
is gonna be
think
so much
I'm
fun.
equally excited.
they've been
Like, I
trying so
love the
hard.
X-Men.
Yeah, I think they've been trying so hard to incorporate X-Men in that this has been like the perfect like. And I remember I like we like had talked about before seeing the movie. People were like, "Yeah, there's like theories that like Storm and Beast are in the movie," and I was like, "How are they even going to incorporate that? Like, that's not happening." And then at the end, I was like, mind blowing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I knew the X-Men were gonna show up because I heard rumors, but I didn't know it was gonna be Beast, which I thought was really really cool. I thought
yeah,
that
that's the thing.
part was
I
good.
mean, eventually, I knew that it was going to happen because she is a mutant, but like, I didn't realize it was going to be done the way that it was done.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. Um. Honestly, man, like. I wish we could get like a director's cut of it because I feel like that would be so awesome.
I
Like,
need a director's cut.
we need a director's cut because there's something missing in this movie, and I really, really want to see it. But overall, man, I'm super happy with it. It's definitely like a fun movie, definitely a good movie to take your kids to. Really, really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts? What are your final thoughts?
Hype.
Hype.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I don't know. I feel like I'm actually watching it for like the second time with a bunch of people. And I'm that person who like watches people's facial expressions. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Nerd.
I'm excited to watch like when I get excited, when I've seen something, I'll like watch other people on like the scenes that I really liked to see how they react. And I'm so excited for that. I'm excited to like watch but I'm excited. I do feel like a lot of people didn't even know it's coming out this weekend, which makes me really sad. Like that, it's like officially it came out tonight. So that's like sad. So I really hope that people actually get to see it. And like, there's also like people are conflicted whether or not they should see it. Like I got a bunch of messages today where people are like, but like, boycott Disney. And I was like, no, not this. So I don't know. It's been interesting, like how people have been approaching like how to watch movies and like whether they should watch movies, in addition to like whether or not like a lot of people I know didn't even know about the movie itself, which is really sad.
Yeah,
They couldn't promote it.
The actors couldn't promote it because of the strike, and then I think Marvel didn't seem to really care about this movie that much, so they didn't do a good job promoting it either. And I know the people talked about the boycotts and stuff like that, and we've been following BDS, and BDS did not put Disney on the boycott list, so that's what we've been following. They have asked us to put pressure on Disney, and you can't put pressure if you're not really engaging with them, right? So it's one of those things where we're like,
Oh, that reminds me. After my movie, they gave us these little iPad minis to do surveys.
Yeah.
And I was able to put in things, including other comments about it. So yes, I actually put the opinion in there that, I love this movie and I did watch this. Here's my email. Here's my number. But Disney, you got to fix some things. And I did leave that in the comments. So if any of you do go see this movie and you are being asked to do a survey at the end, they'll give you a little iPad mini. You just enter all the info. That is the point you want to let them know how you really feel.
Cool, man. Thanks for letting us know, Jazz. That's a great point. Love that. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Aisha, where can people find you if they want to find you?
On Instagram, my handle is right there. It's AQAMAR92.
Awesome. All right. And Jazz, we got Loki tomorrow, which we'll be able to do. And then The Bachelor possibly on Saturday. And then we got Adom joining us on Salaam Weekly on
Yo,
on
I
Sunday.
am so hyped for that.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And then we have to find a way to do Gen V and Invincible next week. So that's gonna be fun, which will be cool because there's no Loki, and so we'll have more time.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen Gen V at all yet, but I did watch Invincible.
All right, you can probably kill Gen V in like a day. It's like only 6 episodes, and they're not that long.
Okay, perfect.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed the movie. Hope you guys enjoyed our review. Lots of cool stuff. I'll be posting TikToks about it. I'll be putting this on my Instagram. Now that the strike is over, I can put stuff on my TikTok and Instagram now. And if you guys have any other things that you want to talk to me about, or you want me on your podcast, feel free to reach out at Watch with Neebs. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, give us a good review, help us with the algorithm. And until next time, guys, Salaam, nerds.